Hey man, say man, back at y'all again today, man, with another video. Today's video is going to be talking about how you can make money investing in precious metals such as gold and silver. Let's get right into it. The easiest way to make money on gold and silver is to buy stuff under melt value. If you go to coinapps.com, you can find the melt value prices for gold, silver, and every other metal you have in question. Now in my hand here was 20 troy ounces of pure silver. This is 999 silver, and the only reason you see discolorations in it is because it's been locked in a safe, and each of these little plastic tabs, a lot of them have a little cut in it. It's not a perfect seal, but it doesn't have to be perfect sealed. That doesn't matter whatsoever. When investing in precious metals, you need to take in consideration one thing, and that is the melt value. Now let's talk about what melt value is. Melt value is the value what it trades for on the stock market, and that is what a jeweler will get when they take it to a refinery and they melt the items down. So if you need to buy jewelry, stay under melt value. That way, if you have to take it to a jeweler or a pawn shop to come up on some cash, you'll be able to at least get that melt value amount back, or plus or minus 10 to 15%, because a lot of jewelers and a lot of pawn shops won't even give you melt value for your items. So that's why I say it's important to buy under melt value. The melt value for silver right now is $15.10 per troy ounce. What is a troy ounce, you might ask? Well, a typical ounce in weight is 28 grams. A troy ounce is 31.105 grams. So there's an extra 3 grams and some change in a troy ounce. Each one of these silver bars that I have are 1 troy ounce, and it tells you the metric on the bar. Now, when you're typically measuring weight in jewelry, that's how you're going to refer to it, is as in troy ounces. Now, when you buy a silver bar, since the melt value is currently at $15, you have to look over the graph of what it was at one point, let's say 1 year ago, and what it is today. As silver, I've seen it go as high as $41 an ounce, probably even higher, but in my lifetime, I specifically remember it going to $41 an ounce. Now, I bought all my bars at $17 an ounce. So at that point, I am losing a little bit of money currently, but that's part of the gamble. You can easily make money whenever the economy turns around, and that is something that's always going to happen. Now, let's talk a little bit about different purities of silver. Typically, when you go to silver, you have these bars, which are 0.999, and then you also have stuff like a silver chain. Silver chains are typically 0.925 silver. That has a little bit of a different alloy of metal in it, so that way it retains the shine for longer than just plain sterling silver would. Just like when we're talking about gold. Looking at gold, the melt value for a troy ounce of gold is currently $1,713. That's a lot of money. Now, part of that is because it's currently been going up. I normally buy all my gold somewhere between $1,400 and $1,500 an ounce. And when you're considering melt value, you need to make sure to buy at melt value or under melt value. That's why you always see me rocking jewelry in my videos, because I always invest in my jewelry. And when investing in precious metals, you can get it in the form of bars, in the form of coins, jewelry, bracelets, necklaces, whatever you feel like buying it as long as you can get a good deal. When you're investing in precious metals, if you go to a jewelry store, you're not going to be able to make a solid investment. Each jeweler is going to charge 3 times to 5 times melt value for their items. That's a ridiculous markup, and that's why a lot of people don't like jewelers. And if you end up going to somewhere like Tiffany or a really high brand jeweler, they're going to charge as much as 10 to 20 times melt value. That's pretty crazy. So that's why it's important when you're investing in precious metals to avoid jewelry stores, because 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to get a reasonable deal at a jewelry store. And they might try to say, oh, it's an investment, it's an investment. It's not. Not when you're paying 10 times, 20 times melt value. It's realistic to expect a piece to even go, let's say, 1.5 times to 2 times its melt value. But 5, 10, 20 times melt value, it would have to be an end of the world scenario for gold to reach that type of peak. Now, whenever you buy metals such as gold or silver, as I was talking about, different purities, they have different values. 925 silver is a little bit less than 999 silver. And when you're measuring with gold, there's a bunch of different purities of gold. Here I'm going to talk about 5 different purities of gold. You have 10 karat gold, 14 karat gold, 18 karat gold, 20 karat gold, and then pure gold, which is 24 carats. Each gold carat has a certain percentage of gold in it, and that's what's represented by the 14, the 10, the 24, etc. Each of these also have a decimal point. For example, for 10K, it's 0.417, which means it's 0.417 grams of gold for every full 1.00 gram of gold in this piece. So if you have, let's say, a 20 gram gold chain, there's only going to be 8.34 grams of gold in it, true gold, even though it is a 20 gram gold chain. That's because it's mixed with other alloys and metals to help it retain a shine, to make it more affordable and easily able to invest in at every different price bracket. Here on the table, I got a few different examples of gold coins, and I got 2 different ways to tell if they're real or fake. The first one is going to be a rare earth magnet. I highly recommend getting a rare earth magnet if you plan to deal in any metals whatsoever, whether it be gold, silver, platinum, whatever you want to get into. You definitely need a rare earth magnet. You also want a testing kit, which is an acid-based testing solution. They do make electronic testers, but those are often not accurate because if the plating is thick enough on a plated piece of metal, it can easily fool an electronic tester. A plated piece of metal or jewelry is an item that has a base metal such as nickel or copper, for example, and has been dipped in electroplated gold. So that way the gold adheres to this copper, and it can be plated up to 10 times, 20 times, as many times as somebody wants to plate something, they can. And that's going to make that metal be basically worthless. And plated items 9 times out of 10 will stick to a rare earth magnet. So that's why I highly recommend getting one of those. And an acid test will determine if it's a plated metal or if it's a non-plated metal. Sometimes you'll need to acid test up to 3 times, and you need to scrape it in a good enough area so that way you know it's not a serious rare earth or precious metal. All right, so here we have a couple examples. These are those silver bars I was showing you. This is a fake silver chain. It was sold to me as real, but it turned out to be fake. This is a 14 karat gold chain, which is also real, and it has its markings there. Even the fake one has a marking on the clasp, and this is a solid silver chain, which is real as well. Here is the acid testing kit I was referring to, and for example, we're going to test a piece of jewelry right here in front of you so that way you can see what it looks like when acid testing a piece of jewelry. Now this is a scrap 14 karat link out of one of my bracelets. I downsized it to fit my wrist, and this is a scrap link. So I already know for sure this is 0.585 gold, which is 14 carats. Now, to test this, you're going to need to scrape it on this pumice stone here, and then you're going to need to drip this 14K testing solution. My solutions are made by JSP Testing Solutions, and that will determine if it's real or not by the fact is if it's not 14 karat, the mark that you make with this piece of gold will disintegrate, disappear, it will be off the block, it'll turn to nothing. But if it is 14 karat, the mark made with this scrap piece of jewelry will stay there, and it'll be clear and obvious that it is a 14 karat gold piece of jewelry. Now, I went ahead and scraped the piece of metal on this stone, and you can see clear as day you have a nice visible yellow gold mark on your stone. You're going to want to drop 2 drops of testing solution in the center of the metal. 1, 2, and now we're going to sit there and wait and see if that evaporates or not. If that yellow gold streak in the center goes away, we know it's not real gold, but if it stays there, we know it is real solid gold. Now, while that's going, I'm going to go ahead and show you an example of a rare earth magnet. Now, this is a rare earth magnet. They are very, very strong, so be careful what you get this around. You're not going to want to get this on your cell phone or things like that. you're going to want to keep it away from your laptops and all that good stuff. Now, this is a stack of 10. You can get them in different shapes and sizes, but I like these stacks because you can increase or decrease the strength based on how tall you stack them. Now, up here was the silver chain that I was telling you that isn't real. This is not real because it is a plated metal. It does test positive for silver, but when you get down to the base, it shows you that it's not real. You're going to take your rare earth magnet here and boom. See how it jumps up and attaches to that? Now, not all attractions are going to be this strong when it is a fake metal, but I did want to show you that one because that was a decent specific example I have. Now, this is one of my gold chains that I wear all the time, and you can tell, you can touch it to it, you can do whatever you want to, and it's not going to move whatsoever. Like, no movement, versus if you put it over here, you're going to get movement, and you're going to have an attraction to the magnet. This is another silver chain. This one is a real silver chain, and you can tell, same thing, you touch it to the chain here and nothing happens. Now, one comment I have to add is all of these style clasps, the spring clasps, do have a metal spring inside of it. So it will slightly attract to the metal spring right there. So all clasps, whether it's real gold or real silver, have a metal spring inside of it, and that's what allows it to open and close like that. Now, the only exception are going to be this style of clasp, the ones that are on my bracelet and necklace. Those clasps do not have any type of metal spring in it. The spring retention comes from the silver itself, so that's going to be the only exception with clasps being magnetic. Now, let's check back over on our gold test. What do we see here? We notice that the gold is still there. Maybe kind of hard to see in this camera, but the gold content is 100% still there. Didn't disappear. And you know that is going to be a true piece of genuine 14 karat gold. So remember, when investing in precious metals, you want to try to get your gold and silver under melt value. That way you always have potential for it to increase. Now, if this piece of jewelry has diamonds in it, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to pay a higher price than melt value. But if you can secure it for under melt value, you will almost always have a win, and you will be making money on whatever piece of jewelry you have. As always, thanks for watching. Any questions, comments, or concerns, let me know down below, and I'll respond to you as quick as possible. I hope you have a great night or day wherever you're watching from. Stay safe, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.